One of these people earns $95,000 a year and is financially fragile. The other earns $52,000 and could stop working for over a year. Same city, same neighborhood, similar rent. Only one difference: margin. Here's the uncomfortable statistic. According to the Federal Reserve, nearly 40% of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency without borrowing. And this includes high earners. Income does not automatically create stability. Behavior does. Today, I'm going to show you why the middle class is financially stressed, even at $95,000, and how people earning half that build real freedom. The two apartments. Apartment 1. 75-inch TV, $4,000 leather sectional, designer kitchenware, closets packed. Income, $95,000. Savings, 2 paychecks from panic. Every month feels tight. Every purchase feels justified. Every expense feels heavier than it should. Now apartment 2. Smaller TV, functional couch, clean surfaces. Spare bedroom is actually usable. Income, $52,000. Savings, 18 months of expenses. Invests 20% automatically. According to Vanguard research, households with 6+ months of expenses saved report dramatically lower financial stress, regardless of income. Security is not tied to earnings, it's tied to buffer. Hedonic adaptation: why more never feels like enough. There's a concept in behavioral economics called hedonic adaptation. Brickman and Campbell's research shows that humans rapidly normalize upgrades. New car? Feels amazing. 3 months later? Baseline. Income increases trigger lifestyle inflation. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that when income increases 20%, spending typically increases almost proportionally within 12 to 18 months, which means most raises don't increase freedom, they increase overhead. The $95,000 apartment didn't fail, they just adapted upward, repeatedly. Everything costs twice. Here's the mental model that changes everything. Everything you own costs money twice. The first cost, purchase price. The second cost, invisible compounding. Storage, maintenance, mental load, opportunity cost. Let's quantify. Urban housing cost averages $30 to $50 per square foot annually when accounting for utilities and rent. A treadmill occupying 20 square feet? $600 to $1,000 per year in hidden storage cost. Now opportunity cost. At 8% historical S&P returns, $1,500 invested over 20 years becomes roughly $7,000. You didn't buy a treadmill, you bought $7,000 less optionality. The Lifestyle Multiplier effect. Big purchases multiply. Boat ownership data shows annual maintenance costs around 10% of value. A $30,000 boat costs roughly $3,000 per year to own. Bigger home? Higher utilities, furniture, repairs, property taxes. American Housing Survey data shows maintenance and utility costs scale disproportionately with square footage. Every possession creates a support ecosystem. This is the lifestyle multiplier. Most people calculate price. Almost nobody calculates cascade. Personal vulnerability, emotional reset. When my income first doubled, I thought I'd escaped financial anxiety. So I upgraded. Better apartment, better furniture, better everything. But my savings barely moved. I wasn't building wealth, I was building maintenance. It took me 3 years to realize income doesn't create freedom, margin does. Define enough, the turning point. Here's what traps high earners. They never define enough. So the goalpost keeps moving. Psychology research shows that satisfaction is relative, not absolute. Make $100,000 around millionaires, you feel behind. Make $60,000 around $40,000 earners, you feel ahead. Nothing changed except comparison. Minimalists define enough before income rises. If your enough lifestyle costs $60,000 annually and you earn $150,000, that $90,000 gap builds freedom rapidly. If you let lifestyle rise to $140,000, you've built a golden cage. Optionality, real definition of wealth. Most people measure wealth by what they own. Minimalists measure wealth by what they can choose. Can you leave a toxic job? Can you take 6 months off? Can you survive a recession? Federal Reserve data shows the median household holds less than 1 month of liquid savings. Income, the psychology of consumption. Research in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin shows financial insecurity increases materialistic behavior. In other words, the more unstable you feel, the more you want visible symbols of stability. Spending becomes emotional relief, which deepens instability, which increases spending. There are 2 cycles. Destructive loop. Spend to anxiety to spend for relief to deeper anxiety. Wealth loop. Save to security to less need to signal to save more. The $52,000 apartment escaped the destructive loop. The compounding difference. Math. Let's compare trajectories. Person A earns $95,000, saves 5%, invests $4,750 annually. After 20 years at 8%, roughly $235,000. Person B earns $52,000, saves 20%, invests $10,400 annually. After 20 years at 8%, roughly $510,000. Lower income, more than double the wealth, because savings rate beats salary size. This is math, not philosophy. Closing. Return to the apartments. Let's return to those 2 apartments. The $95,000 earner optimized for visible success. The $52,000 earner optimized for invisible strength. One built a stage, the other built a foundation. High income builds lifestyle. Margin builds freedom. And freedom is the only asset that compounds without limits. The choice isn't how much you earn, it's whether you want to own your possessions or whether you're comfortable with them owning you.